Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I will make it short, otherwise you will take a nap in the meantime. Okay, relational work in co-designing what we like to do. Relational work is really a core concept in my presentation. Why, we will see. Oh, this is just to recall Anthropocene with some positive news. Well, actually not very positive. Climate change on the verge of the point of no return. And on this there is no news, no new data, but I remember a recent paper by Jim Bender, who works also on the blockchain on Credit Commons with Matthew's letter, and published a few weeks ago a document called Deep Adaptation. I'm not sure, I suggest you to read it because there is no new data, but the idea is if we are beyond the point of no return, we have to, yes, that one, we have to prepare disaster policy. And the paper was rejected by the same journal in which he is member of the committee and then published it in the department working papers. So this, I'm not an expert in environment, like a citizen. This was really disturbing, and I don't know if there is something personal, as an ego-centered trip, because or because we have Trumpists from one side and then a reaction on the other, or there is real something important that we have not to miss. The second, Anthropocene, means also, it's not only linked to climate change, but our effect on life, our effect on nature. Nature is no more what nature was in the past, like seasons. Because we are able to manage life, create life as well. And I recall Homo Deus by Harari, the Israeli historian, just because biomedicine and the challenges are very well described, even if his idea that we are going to an algorithmic society, I disagree completely. We are still humans and we are not going there. But anyway, what is important here, that medicine, since the biomolecular discoveries in the 60s, following a neo-Foucaultian sociologist, Nicholas Rose in London, King's College, who studied biopolitics and biomedicine, changed, and now medicine is more oriented to improve normality. It's an enhancement medicine, then take care of pathologies. We think about pathology, they still do that, but a big part of medicine is to enhance normal bodies. Look for, my students, a human upgrade clinic in Switzerland, and get a look when you have time what they do there. Or think about the Chinese researcher of 3 weeks ago using DNSR from 3 sources, justifying that the parents are HIV affected, and then the child, there is an excuse, always a legitimating intervention that are ethically are very complicated. I don't say bad, good or bad, but we really don't know what to do. So this is new power we have about life, and it's important to remember it for many reasons. And then is a short-term reflection about the next economic recession linked to technological employment, because Italy is already in recession time. Germany probably is closed. France, I don't know, but we are close to, and our project will be affected probably in terms of participation of people, the way to contribute or not. And so we insisted in the project on interdisciplinarity. I like to suggest that transdisciplinarity is much more appropriate for what we want to do, because multidisciplinarity concerns studying research topic not in just one discipline, but in several at the same time. Okay. Interdisciplinarity concerns the transfer of methods from one discipline to another. The space available cannot allow it to develop further, but transdisciplinarity concerns that which is at once between the disciplines, across the different disciplines and beyond the disciplines, at the edge, critical points with no boundaries. It's not clear who is the owner of that site. But also, I will add, everyday knowledge of everyday people, tacit knowledge, is part of this. This is very, very important. What we learn from experience, if we are not scientists. And in science, there is tacit knowledge as well. Okay. And most important is not knowing. So the attitude, cultivating ourselves, an attitude of curiosity to life without pre-classificatory schemes as far as we can. And working it is the best thing that we can do. Not knowing, an attitude of not knowing. Like Shunryu Suzuki said, the mind of a non-expert is void. The mind of expert is filled with information, knowledge, and it's much more difficult for the expert to see where is the new, and be creative. Something more about this, because I have the inactive turn also. The inactive turn is a new paradigm. From my point of view, it was born with Francisco Varela, a neurobiologist at the end of the 90s. And he discovered that with phenomenology, with neuroscience, he was very critical toward the development of cognitive sciences until that point. Then he studied Merleau-Ponty, the phenomenology stuff, like Heidegger had, and said this is the most advanced point in Western culture, but it's not enough. Why? Because it reflected about the self, about knowledge through the body, and discovered meditation, and with the Lama, he had a Lama teacher, and then tried to build a new epistemological model linking Buddhist philosophy and Western phenomenology and neurosciences. He called it neurophenomenology. I don't follow him there because he put on the same plane first-person inquiry and third-person inquiry. I disagree about that. They are two levels, but I don't want to go into that. Inaction is a paradigm that could be considered post-constructivist. If you look at Derrida, and we have an example before, at the center of constructivist there is text, language. So it's pretty cognitive model. We must go beyond that. We must involve the body mind. So a unity of our intelligence is made by both. It's not only cognitive, but Western model of knowledge, critical or not, is linked to a cognitive, hyper-rational model, be it neo-positivist or constructivist. And this is a way to go out from this kind of boundaries. Okay, and we arrive at some relational work. This comes from the contribution of Viviana Zelizer. She studied insurance and historical level. She studied life insurance with children. She studied payments in intimate relationship, and arrived at this kind of not theory. It's just a scheme coming from her research. Every kind of transaction, every kind of economic transaction is a relational. Even market. Market is not like the line Marx, Simmel, and money as well. Simmel, Polanyi, to write to other times. Because even in market, even in money, people are able to make their arrangements and change the meaning of what they're doing. $1, just to simplify, $1, sorry, I was talking to them. $1 is not $1. It depends. It could be $1. It could be more or less. It could be a different thing. Because it depends from social ties and money or market relationship or state economy relation or the commons can reinforce, destroy, or create social ties between people. That's the most important thing. Then we have transactions, and then we have media for this kind of transaction. Could be money or something else. But important things that in Marx was not present because of this time, meanings. People attach meanings to the relationship, even to the economic relationship. And the third point is not only in the market economy, but also in the commons economics, in the theorization and contribution of people from the commons. We don't see the household economy. We don't see care work. We see a capitalocentric model. We have the state and we have the market. And then we have the commons collaborating, challenging, or overturning the past systems. In this picture, if we hide the contribution of not unpaid work at home, we don't understand how the system works, and probably using technology, designing technology, or not using this kind of distributed ledger or something else, we can be wrong. We can miss an important point. Because in India, for example, the weight of this on the GNP is around 35%, and in developed country is between 30 and 40% of the full GNP. Yeah, I have the data. Sorry. Okay, but okay, it counts from 1/4 to 1/3 of GDP, depending from the kind of measurement and computation. So it's so important that cannot be avoided to introduce household economy and care work in our picture. Individualization is another process that studied by sociologists like Giddens, Hurrichbeck, Bauman, and Lasch, but not present in the debate. And individualization is very important because it explains to us how we are changing generation from generation, from the industrial society to the post-industrial one. How the society is individualized. And what does it mean? I have to read. Sorry, because we are not in the order of the... individualization means that the individuals in the past occupied specific social roles. Now they are more situational, and they have to adapt themselves to different conditions. And even inequality is linked to a situational condition. So it doesn't mean that there is less inequality, but the quality of this inequality is different from the past. In the post-industrial stage of society, individuals transform their identity as given to form many commitments. Consequently, although this change can be considered a systemic requirement, actually the new situation means that the change is produced internally. They are open systems. They do not simply reproduce themselves, but are able to change themselves. This has profound implication in understanding social transformation. For example, the fact that we notice an increase in social inequality does not mean the classes have a decisive influence, but rather that inequalities are activated by separate biographies. Okay. So I have a few notes about, well, we know, everybody knows the work of Manuel Castells about internet and the network society. Then we arrived in 2010 with social networks and smartphone, in the middle of social networks, in the middle of the first 10 years of the new millennium. And then we arrived at Bitcoin blockchain. Here's blockchain, our catcher in the right. I hope, but I'm not sure. The more I study, the less I'm... But I can say something relying on somebody else like Lana Swartz, who in his PhD thesis dissertation published 1 year ago, said something very interesting. We have two main influences in the Bitcoin. One is digital metallism, another one is infrastructural metallism. In the previous intervention, we had some sort of digital metallism represented by Szabo. For traditional metallists, we got to Karl Menger, the Austrian school, having a currency backed by a scarce commodity allows people to transact autonomously without any need for trust in each other or in centralized authority like a state. For digital metallists, Bitcoin is a commodity, currency backed by cryptographic proof, unforgeable scarcity guaranteed by the distributed blockchain. For metallists, money is a creature of the market. By design, Bitcoin is meant to simulate a scarce commodity, so over time fewer and fewer can be mined. Because of this built-in scarcity cure, along with rapid acceleration of technology optimized for mining, that there was little hope of anyone to ever hit real Bitcoin pay dirt through mining. And Swartz said that there are many experts in Bitcoin, but no one, she said, and also looked into exhibition conference and said no one wrote codes directly that she did. She decided to produce Bitcoin and clipped wires and panel for digital gold. We are surprised how many so-called Bitcoin experts we have met over the years were never done the same. Why? But because the original white paper by Satoshi Nakamoto launching the Bitcoin indicate the principles of the system. Bitcoin in theory, but it can tell you nothing about the institutional and technological regimes that constitute Bitcoin in practice. And then money is a memory bank. It's a way of making material the network obligation between people. The blockchain is an immutable record of this sociality. So infrastructural mutualists insist much more on the network created by the ledger. And there was a point of crisis between the two conceptions when Silk Road, because it's not true that Bitcoin is not a method of payment. It was a great method of payment when Silk Road was born and lived for 2 years. Ross Ulbricht, the founder, now is in jail for life sentence. It's too much. I signed a petition for, not for his liberation, because I'm not, but for reduction of the sentence, because life sentence for that is really too much. You know what Silk Road was. They transact, well, it was possible to transact everything. Guns, drugs. The principle was a principle called, the agorists called, do what you want, but don't damage somebody else. A liberal principle, no? You can, if you want drugs, you can buy drugs. It's your, if you're adult, you do what you want. But don't harm people. Okay, when Silk Road was closed by the FBI, a dream was gone. And an opportunity was with WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks is a sort of cyberpunk initiative. At a certain point, PayPal closed the possibility to get the money to collect money. They used the PayPal for supporting the organization. And this was a problem because some in the Bitcoin community said, we have to support them, we have to do something. The others said, we are going institutional, we will be known now, and this could be a problem. So digital metallist, infrastructure metallist had something in, yes, at the end to say what? That we don't have to be rigid about the technology, but look at its enactment in social life, because there is not community so socialized like the digital community. They speak a lot, write a lot, have a lot of social network. They make consensus negotiation every day. A lot. Even the hype of the blockchain was a politics of getting attention, and was good in some way, was effective in some way. But at the end, the future of blockchain technology, following Schwartz, will likely belong to those who are neither metalists nor mutualists, who don't really care about the techno-social politics of peership, who don't care what we want. Most of the capital investment and serious thinking around blockchain is not happening with anarchists or activists or agorists in mind. The world's largest financial institutions are interested in adopting the technology for their own purpose, and then building private blockchain that could be used, for example, to speed up settlement, latency for interbank clearance, etc., etc. Neolibertarians in the crypto world share with Karl Menger and the Austrian School of Economics that believe that the payment could be intended in its pure form, a pure medium of information. It's just pure information. It's, from my point of view, a reductionist view. Because money is not informational. As we said at the beginning, it's a social relation. It reinforces, destroys. Remember the movie with Richard Gere and Julia Roberts, Pretty Woman. They are in a suite at a hotel. They have a quarrel. They have, and the relationship is changing in some way. He went out and put some $200, $300 on the table and slammed the door. She is a little bit confused. Look at the money on the table. She don't touch the money and goes out. What does it mean? It means that money is the symbol of the relationship between the two. If you are a prostitute and he's your client, you grab the money and put your money on. If something is changing in yourself, you leave money there. No more money. So the dollar is not, it depends from the relationship you are building. So it's not only information, it's something different, something deeper, something stronger in some way or more articulate. And this is what Zelizer, with his study, reminds to us. She reminds us the money is also the sharing of meaning, the networks of interobligation within us. Every medium is spatial, be it fiat money, food stamps, supermarket coupons, restaurant tickets, frequent flyer royalty cards. I remember restaurant tickets sold on eBay by two person, and they sold 200 in Italy at the time. You had to spend restaurant tickets the same day for your lunch, maybe not for dinner, not for buy supermarket. And they collected 200, 300, so personal ones, selling on eBay. And they were from Naples both, but it's not because they're from Naples, but they say, yeah, I have 200, I have 400. Then we meet, where are you? In Naples, where? In Square there, meet there. So from the digital world, they met and exchanged their ticket restaurant with completely another meaning from the original one, because people is able legally or illegally to change the meaning of things, or invent a new currency, or change the meaning of the currency they have. Special is money, because every kind of money, even dollars, because accommodates specific social purposes. Even an euro can be earmarked, linking it to an action toward the creation, maintenance, dissolution, or repair of situated social ties. So if you look at Bitcoin, you see at the beginning, Bitcoin for the first 2-3 years was a system of payment, 1 minute. And then neither a store of value, nor a unit of account or a token or a commodity. Then it became a commodity open to speculation. And then in 2013 or 14, you don't speak anymore of Bitcoin, but blockchain. So an infrastructure. Okay, now I have 1 minute. I would like to speak about, but I'll just show you personal data are the oil of the digital economy or not? Not data, our interaction. Transformed in data, our interaction. We are the owner of our interaction. And we have two main points of view. Data for sale is personal assets, like in Vail, radical markets, or data labor-based, like in Marxist or Fumagalli and other. I think this is an old view. The two old views, pro-market and against market. Are we able to invent something new? Are we able? Can we? Beyond divisive thinking? I think yes. My answer is yes, we can. And the next one is about attention, because our economy is no more economy of information knowledge. It's really available. It's an economy of attention. Is attention real? And attention is a soft skills. A soft skills that it could be commodified, like in BAT. Look at Basic Attention Token, the platform, and Basic Attention Token is just oriented to do that. It's also a life skills. Life skills, I mean with life skills, all kind of tools that we use to reflect and deal with impermanence in life. So meditation, all this kind of form of technology or within, helps to face existential suffering and clinging. So attention is important in two different ways. It's very interesting. One is linked to impermanence in life. The other one is exploiting your resources for selling or... And if I were... the same we can do with technological unemployment. Can we go beyond the income labor chain, split it, and invent something? And the invention that back in 1999 called the invention of voluntary civil work for the community. Not mandatory, not a workfare policy, free. If you want, you do it. If you don't, you don't. And not paid, but compensated. How? Maybe with the blockchain. So to do this, we need generative methodologies. Grounded theory is one of them. I don't go into because enough time. And the last one is about indicators. Which kind of indicators can be useful for this kind of work? In my view, indicators of social economic suffering. We have, as a source of inspiration, Bourdieu, La Misère du Monde, a book of the 1993, Wilkinson, Suffering, more recent, Anderson, a methodologist, Human Suffering, Quality of Life. It's an expansion of quality of life indicators in two books. And this could be an idea in which put linking, for example, United Nations 230 objectives, but it's not so important. The last one is this. At the beginning it was Born to be Wise, like Born to be Wild of Bruce Springsteen. But I think better learn to be wise. We are not born wise. We can become wise or wiser. Growing, this is in the commons, we find also this kind of sensibility. Growing attention to the personal dimension, the inner transformation. For example, in Gibson, what happened? Was not censored by you, no. What do you? It's finished.
No. I said
the clock is on blockchain, so I can't.
A smart contract, and it's just to close with. The last one,
But this
because I
really last 20 seconds, please.
I have something coming from, instead of getting something from the East, like Buddhism or Indo-Vedic tradition, we are also Pirro of Elis with ataraxia, which comes close to practical wisdom, which is a form of postmodern way, secularized way of the tradition of wisdom, religious or not, of the past. We have to rely on them. You see, significant barriers in ourselves, from the Gibson, Graham, and Rolvik, subjectivity, a central element of commoning, David Bollier, psychiatric, Klippinger, again, and also Michel Bowers, who presented a paper on par compari in the Vatican some years ago and published it in the book that I have here, and I will leave a copy to your association, your group. And then I suggest for CO3, primum non nocere. Experiment whatever we want, but non nocere. Thank you very much. Sorry.